and praises unto your holy name, for your goodness, your mercy, and your love. Almighty King, we call upon you. Cause us to return, Lord, Father, unto thy Lord. Draw us near, O our King, unto thy service. Bring us back in perfect repentance unto thy presence. Bless thou, God, the lack of repentance. Forgive us, O our Father, for we have sinned. Pardon us, O our King, for we have transgressed, for thou dost pardon and forgive. Bless thou, God, who art gracious, and abundantly forgive. Look upon our affliction, plead our cause, and redeem us speedily. For thou art a mighty redeemer. Bless thou, God, redeem Israel. Almighty God, open up our hearts and our minds in this session. And bless us with thy knowledge. Amen.
Hallelujah.
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 First of all, I want to give all honor and praise to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Great, mighty, and very God, the Most High, and the possessor of all things and everything. Secondly, I'd like to give due respect to my father, Chief Principal of Jehovah. That's not to create, continue to guide, shield, and protect him, and bless him as well. Also, I would like to greet my family online and my family that's here today, and the son of our ancient forefathers. Shalom, shalom.
Shabbat shalom, shalom.
Okay, so we're going to go into a lesson. We're going into the lesson of Bereshit. The reason why I chose to go into this particular lesson is because we've been getting a lot of questions in reference to the book of Genesis, or in the beginning of the book of Genesis, and how science can be related into that particular book. And when you look at our scriptures are highly scientific. So it's very, very important that we take note of the science that the book has in it. So we're going to start in the book of Genesis. Like I said before, please approach study with an open mind and try to be as objective as possible, because that will allow us to make better decisions and come to a conclusion on what should be or could be considered true. Okay? So we'll start in the book of Genesis. We're going to go in a couple of different places. We're going to jump around just to prove our points and make sure that everything that we're saying is logical and appropriate. Okay? So we're going to start in the book of Genesis.
We're in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
In the beginning, Yah created heaven and earth. Now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of Yah hovered over the face of the waters.
Now, this is really, really important. The beginning of this chapter, it actually gives us an understanding of what's going on. In the Hebrew, it says Bereshit, Berah. These two words have the same origin. Bereshit, Berah. The same word, or the same word origin. Now, when we look at it, the word Berah actually means to create space, or to create space. Now, taking that into consideration, when we're looking at the earth, a lot of us have preconceived notions that when we're considering how the earth was formed, that there was something that God was working with. God created something out of nothing in this particular instance. So even in the beginning, when it says, and in the beginning, the earth was void and without form, meaning that there was nothing there. God is creating out of nothing. You understand what I'm saying? He's creating space out of nothing, as well as the heavens and the earth. He's putting together. So a lot of us, when we look at it, you have to look at it from that perspective, because when you read in the Hebrew, it actually gives us another interpretation. It doesn't give us another interpretation. It gives us more of an interpretation. Yeah, we know that God is creating the heavens and the earth in this instance, but also he's creating space. And it's highly conceivable for man to even conceive the thought of space not existing. Because guess what? That's our limit. God has no limit. God is creating infinity at this particular point, as well as the heavens and the earth. And this is something that our minds can't be wrapped around. So this is how much more, how great this king is than we are.
Hallelujah.
You know, so it says, it reads, better sheep bara, in the beginning, God created. Now keep in word this word, bara, because when he creates man, it's going to go into the same root word as well. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And Yah saw the light, and that it was good.
Right.
And Yah divided the light from the darkness.
Now the reason I like this term, it says, and God said, let there be light. The word that he uses in the Hebrew is wayomeh. The root word for wayomeh is amar. Amar can mean speech, but amar can also mean thought, or to thinking something into existence. God don't have to say a word. He can consider something and it happens. This shows the greatness of our King. That's why when we get to the next chapter, it's going to talk about the generations of the heavens and the earth. This is an epic. This is a creation story that God is testifying to his own glory. And he says, and God said, let there be light. God don't have to say, let there be light. He don't have to talk to nobody. The same word can be used for thought. Let's go into Samuel, just to prove what we're saying. We're going to Samuel's, 2 Samuel chapter 21. What is it, verse 16? Excuse me. Second Samuel. Hold on, let me get to it. Second Samuel, right? 21. Yep.
Who was the son of
Mm-hmm. Second Samuel 21, verse 16, right? Okay. Read that for me.
We're in the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 16.
Uh-huh.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And Ishbibinah, who was the son of the giant, the weight of whose spear was 300 shekels of brass in weight. He being girded with new armor, though have slain David.
Okay, in my
Though
book,
have slain David.
right. So it says, Ishbibinah, who was the son of the giant, the weight of whose spear was 300 shekels of brass in weight, and he being girded with the new armor, thought to have slain David. The word for thought, when you read this particular chapter in the Hebrew, it uses the term wayomeh. So he didn't say, I'm going to slay David. He thought to slay David. So the word can be interchangeable with speech as well as thought. So when we go back into the book of Genesis, and when it says, and God said, let there be light, in the Hebrew, it uses the term wayomeh, which can also denote thought. God can think the world into existence. He don't have to say a word. That's the greatness of this kingdom we serve.
Hallelujah. So that also can go with the things that they on with the letters.
Right. And that's something that we have to keep in mind, because when we get into that chapter, not only are we going to get into this word, but we're also going to go back to bara, or created. And we're going to talk about the noun, but we're going to talk about the how it's singular. And it denotes one in creation. One entity created this. Okay?
Doesn't bara mean the same thing?
Okay.
One?
Yes. It denotes a singular.
Right, in the
Creation.
singular.
Right. Creation in the singular.
Bereshit bara
Bara.
puts it in the singular.
That's right. So when we go back to the creation of man, it's going to use the same term within the singular to denote the creation. Even though it says, let us make man, but when the creation is taking place and it describes the creation, it's in the singular.
God created.
So let's go back to
Yeah. Genesis chapter 1, verse 5.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. Go ahead.
And God called light day, and the darkness he called night.
Right?
And there was evening and there was morning one day.
Now, God had created light. This is still not sunlight. This is a light that God created in which to facilitate his creation. It's an example. Everything in here, and it can be a simple example to some, but guess what? Before you start doing something, turn on the light and see what you're doing. So,
Right.
you know, but we pattern ourselves after what the Creator does. So this light that was created is still not sunlight, but it's enough to differentiate light from darkness, which he called day. The light, which he called day, and night, which was the darkness. But it says, and it was evening, right?
Yes.
Let's read that part again, because that is key. That part right there is key.
And there was evening and there was morning one day.
So this was a cycle. This is a completion of a cycle. It didn't say, and there was daytime and it was evening and that was one day. It said, and it was evening and then it was morning, and that concluded a day. So we start our days when the sun goes down. No matter what these westernized people say or put on social media or televised or however they go about doing it, the day actually starts before 12 o'clock. Our day starts when that sun goes down and you're dealing with a different kind of light. And it goes into darkness. That's when the day starts. That's when the day actually starts. Because that's not what we say, but that's what God says. So we're going to see that this pattern is repeated over and over again, signifying creation on each particular day. It'll say, and it was evening, and it was morning, another day. Noting that day starts in the evening. That's a very, very important fact.
Right. And when he said, and it was morning, meaning morning passed,
Yes.
and evening set back in.
Yes, sir.
Am I right about
Yes,
that?
sir. Absolutely.
Because when he says morning, it's past tense.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. It was morning.
Right. So from evening to evening, because after morning comes the evening.
That's right.
Okay.
Evening to evening is the conclusion of one full cycle of a day. Yes, sir.
So does that mean God is working in the evening? Does that mean that God is working in the evening? Because light and darkness was one thing, right? So now he's belonging to the days.
It could be so. It could be so. It could be so. But the separation from day to day is that evening, from evening to evening. So within that evening to evening, that's one day that he created all of particular things. And then from evening to evening is another day in which he created particular things. So yeah, possibility, yes, absolutely.
Verse 6.
Yes, sir.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters.
Mm-hmm.
And Yah made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which was above the firmament. And it was so.
So the firmament is really, really, really important. It's important for us to get an understanding of what firmament is.
Yeah.
Now, according to science, well, let's go to the Hebrew first. The Hebrew word for firmament is rakia, right? So when we look at it, this is in the Hebrew, but this is how it would be spelled in English. R-A-Q-I-A, right? Firmament. So I want you to read a Hebrew definition of that particular word. And this is from Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew. This particular word is here.
So flatten.
Okay, so condensing, right?
Establishing firmly.
Establishing firmly, go ahead.
Overlaying.
Overlaying, right?
Lower heaven.
Lower heaven, keep reading.
Flat ground.
Flat ground. Okay. Also, you know that because this is
Oh,
part of
okay.
the definition.
Gotcha. Says move restrained elements.
Okay, so move restrained elements,
Seize movement.
seize movement,
Thin out.
thin out,
Mix particles.
mix particles,
Separate particles.
separate particles. So this sounds like a science project already within this particular word. Firmament, even in the Hebrew, in a biblical or Hebrew biblical translation of that word, we're talking about chemicals. We're talking about mixtures of particles or molecules. So when we look at it, what resembles this would be the atmosphere. Keep in mind, the atmosphere has 5 different layers to it, right? Within those 5 different layers, you have different compounds, different molecules, different, how would you say, chemical makeups within these particular levels. Now they're condensed. This is what actually protects the earth. This right? You have what you call the thermosphere. The thermosphere is the part that regulates the temperature. The mesosphere, right? The mesosphere, this part actually would destroy any meteors or anything that was coming from outer space into the earth. So God is protecting the earth. Before he created the earth, he created a force field for the earth. Something that actually would keep us alive inside of this earth. Something that would keep us breathing. Because when you look at the firmament, you'll realize that the makeup of the air that we breathe is all relative to the firmament. Okay? So you have the mesosphere. Then you have the stratosphere. The stratosphere contains ozone layers. We're going to later go into the sun because when we get to a certain part of Genesis, it's going to tell us that God put the greater light beyond the firmament to serve as light, but not only as light, but because the heat that's regulated within this firmament or within this ozone layer comes from the sun. It actually helps to protect the Earth's atmosphere. So a lot of stuff in the book is going to lead into all of that, but you have to look at it from a scientific point of view, and then you'll get that from it. That's simple. Yeah. So also, then you have a layer called which adjusts our weather. This is the part that actually kind of controls the weather. This is what God did, weather patterns. This is why in us destroying the ozone layer, which is the firmament, people dying faster. This is why when we look at the story in Noah, in the ark story, when you have an ice age or a flood of that magnitude, it affects the firmament levels, affecting the lifespan of man. Because guess what? You're not going to take in as much oxygen as you normally would. So back in those days, our lungs were built a certain way and oxygen was more plenteous. So therefore, we lived a little longer. But when God hit us with that flood, or some might consider an ice age, because that's what a flood leads to, it changes the atmosphere. It changes the breathing pattern of men, thus affecting the life span of men. We wasn't the same after that flood. According to science, we wasn't the same after that flood. And even species that may have existed wouldn't exist anymore. I'm not gonna go too much into that. I'll leave that as is. If anybody else want to talk about it, we can talk about that later. But there were different kind of now go into that afterwards.
Verse 8. Again, we have verse 8, Genesis chapter 1. And God called the firmament heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day.
And God called the firmament heaven. Now, the thing is that when you divide the waters, what I want people to understand is that scientifically, what makes water, if we look at it, is hydrogen
and oxygen.
and oxygen.
Right.
What is it? H2O.
H2O.
Two oxygen. So two hydrogen and one oxygen. Two hydrogen and one oxygen.
Right.
So this is the compound for water. These are compounds that are actually separated on this side and on this side. So it was a separation, technically, from waters to waters. The waters from the waters. There was a separation when you look at the scientific aspect of it.
And y'all said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear.
Now God is forming that which is inside of the firmament. This is a miracle formation. Because who creates outer first and then in? But the Almighty. Everybody else starts from the core, from a base. God don't have to start from a base. He starts from the top. That's what Bereshit or Barah means. From the top. From the top. God started from the top. He didn't have to start in the middle. He started from the top. Through the middle.
And even so, we started from the middle. The middle will be damaged because all the outside is what protects inside the middle.
He created, that's absolutely right. He created a protection first. God is serious because he created protection for his creation before he created it. Master builder, right? The only one can do it. Nobody else can. Let's go.
And God called the dry land earth, and gathered together the waters called ye sea.
Right?
And y'all saw that it was good. And y'all said, let the earth put forth grass, herb yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit after its kind, wherein is the seed thereof upon the earth. And it was so.
So God at this point caused the earth to emerge and the seeds to be separated, and he caused green things, and he caused the living things to come up in that earth.
So that water that was separated from the firmament, right? That water, there was none within the water, or God was
It says he created it. He caused it to appear. The surface. He caused it to surface. Because when we started from the beginning, it was nothing. It said the earth was void, meaning that if something is void,
was just more that God said, okay,
It says-
some land there.
Mm-hmm. It says the Spirit of the Lord hovered over the face of the deep. So it was nothing.
He took the H to and
That's right. So when you look at it and you start to recite it from a scientific point of view, it makes much more sense. It makes much more sense because then now you understand different compounds. But not only that, the firmament contains compounds. Because when we look at the definition of that particular word, it talks about particles or mixtures. And when you look at the makeup of the firmament, you'll realize that it contains nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and carbon dioxide. So this is a mixture of things going on over here, but it's compressed, but it's layered. It's layered to the point that the stuff in this sphere doesn't go in this sphere, the stuff in this sphere doesn't go in this sphere, the stuff in this sphere doesn't go in this sphere, and the stuff in this sphere doesn't go in that sphere. And the stuff on the outside can't come in the earth. That's why when rocket ships go up, they have to watch how they approach the atmosphere. Because if they don't, they'll burn up. It's a protection. It's like a bulletproof vest God put around the earth before he started creating. Okay. Let's do it.
Verse 13 in Genesis chapter 1. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day.
Also, again, repeating itself, letting us know that day goes from evening to evening. That is considered one day. We don't start our day when the light comes out or when it lights up. Our day starts that night. This is why we keep Saturday from Friday night, sundown, to Saturday night, sundown. Because this is the recipe from the book of Genesis.
Even that's acknowledging birthdays.
But
Acknowledging birthdays. So I am concerned that I'm good for. Well, you would say the day before, but it's not necessarily the day before because it meant the day starting the evening. So if your birthday was like, do you consider tomorrow? Right now? Yeah. You would celebrate your birthday.
Oh, yeah. Just sundown the next day.
yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Any questions? You sure?
In Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. And Yah said, let there be light in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them bring for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
Right.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And Yah made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night,
Right.
and the stars.
Right. So now we're talking about the sun. And we're talking about stars. Now we're talking about this. Why? Because guess what? These show, they give us time. Like, you wouldn't know what time it is without a watch if there was no sun. Right? You can plant a flagpole in the ground, and that'll be your clock, depending on the shadow. Right? So the sun actually is our watch. It tells us hour on hour on hour, depending on where it is in the sky. It also gives us light. It also heats up this and charges this so that nothing can come inside. Why? Because when you're looking at the thermosphere, which is the hot part, it is activated by the sun. The moon is a lesser light, which moves off the reflection of the sun.
And Yah set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day.
Okay, so now we're moving on. Go ahead. And God saw that it was good.
And Yah said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures.
Now keep this in mind. It says, and God said, let the waters swarm with
The swarms of living creatures.
Okay, so we're talking about waters, swarms that are coming out of the waters. It said, let the waters swarm with living creatures. Go ahead.
And let fire fly above the earth in an open firmament of heaven.
Now, in most books, even in Hebrew, there's a break to show if this is a part of this particular sentence. There's no break there. So we're talking about birds coming out of the water.
Right.
Now, when you get into the science of it, you'll realize that fish and birds have a similar genetic makeup. You didn't say it. God said it in the beginning. This is why the Torah is our wisdom in the sight of the people. Why? Because it makes us scientists.
Right.
We knew from reading the book of Genesis that fish and birds have certain similarities or certain genetic similarities. God told us.
And Yah created the great sea monsters and every living creature that creepeth wherewith the water swarm,
Right.
after its kind, and every winged fowl after its kind, and Yah saw that it was good.
Right. So what verse is that actually?
Right now, that was verse 21.
Okay. Now, this is where some people have different disputes about different things. Because in certain books, the word that it uses for sea monsters is Hatanim Hagadol, or Tanim Hagadol. Tanim actually means reptiles. It could mean dragons. It could mean sea monsters. It can mean a number of things. So this is when you get into certain people, certain discussions, people will refer to the book of Genesis and say, okay, I can show you in the book of Genesis what God created dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because it's talking about giant reptiles. But that is, you know, you can't state it to be fact. It's something to be talked about.
Right.
You know, it's just something to be talked about, but it's also something to consider.
Right.
That it's nothing that's far-fetched. Right.
And Yah blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowls multiply on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day.
Gotcha.
Verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And Yah said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures after its kind, rattling and creeping things.
So the earth is bringing forth living creatures. The same way man is brought forth from the earth is bringing forth living creatures. It's saying, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Now it's saying let the earth, where before creation was coming out of the water.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And it seems to be when you say let the earth bring forth living creatures, that's almost like saying let us.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Why? Because when the king is making a decision, everybody who works for that king or everybody who's on that king's staff, he can refer to it as himself. Let us.
Right.
because you're actually the arm of that king. Why? Because he's using you. You don't get credit for that. The king gets credit for that.
Right.
It's his job. It's him. So, and in all actuality, that is a great example of let us, because God is using something that he already created to create, which we'll see that same motif throughout the whole book of Genesis. God is going to use something that's already here to bring forth something else, because he made something. So he's not starting from the beginning over again.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to move on and improve on what he already created. Let's go.
And y'all made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the ground after his kind. And y'all saw that it was good. And y'all said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the creatures, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Right? Keep reading, because what we're not going to do is we're not just going to read that verse and just try to expound on that verse, because what comes after that verse is just as important as that verse. Right.
Yah created man in his own image, and the image of Yah created he him.
Now that's what we wanted to get to. All of this wisdom that was created here, he used it here. You understand what I'm saying? So, in all actuality, God is talking to himself. He don't need nothing else. But then, to prove that point, when we look at the next verse, it says, and God created man. It uses the term bara in the singular, meaning he did it by himself.
So at this point, the rule of God, the harmonic, those things, man,
That's it.
no interest.
Even if so, it's not mentioned. Even if so, it's not mentioned. All that's important in this particular is the creation and the generations of God. Yes, ma'am.
How would you describe Most High God?
As far as what?
Like, okay, like how we say God is not in his image,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So we would get concept that he is not in his image, but for us, we didn't understand that.
Very good.
Because, you know, okay, we go tell the children, you know, first figure out God is this and Most High is this. But they also have to know, you have to go to their mind and think about how they look at God as.
Mhm.
So how are you going to explain it to the child of David?
Right. See, the thing is this. In the book, did we read the part where it said that God created man in his image?
Mm-hmm.
Read that
Read
part.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, verse 27, but that's what the before that. All right, so. And Yah created man in his own image, in the image of Yah created he him. That's what we have stopped at.
And his own image created he him. Now, the image in which we are created in God, of God is our thought pattern, intellectual perception. It has nothing to do with anything physical. God don't have arms. God don't have feet. God don't get sick. Anything that man has, God created that on him for man. God is what you call incorporeal, which means that there's nothing that you can describe him as. Even images that we watch on television, because everybody who grows up as a child, you think in your head that you have an image of what God is supposed to look like because you watch television. So these are things that play out in our lives. But in all actuality, there is nothing that actually can describe God. How do you know this? Because God said, I came to you in no similitude. So there's no thing that you can actually compare to God. God is power. It's something that he's something that and that's the best way for us to perceive this king. But he's the sole controller of everything.
Would also the likeness of God be what the serpent said to what, a woman? He said, you would not die, but you would be as God, what was it?
As God,
knowing good and evil.
Right.
That's the difference that we have, because all the other living beings that God created, other creatures that God created, like lions, you could be walking to the shower with your child, and it don't make a difference to a lion. He will eat you. So the knowledge of good and evil is what God put upon us, which would also bring judgment, death. You know, because our eyes are open and we'll surely know. Right.
And that's actually hitting the nail on the head, because in all actuality, that's what we have in common with God, more so than any other of the creations. Because I don't want to say we have anything in common with God, but more so than any of the other creations that God created, like the animals. Animals don't think. Animals move off of instinct and how they feel at the particular time. They move off a survival mechanism. Whereas man has the ability to think and say to itself, no, I'm not going to do that, even if they want to. An animal won't say to itself, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right. Shalom.
But another thing to consider is that even before the serpent gave them the fruit and they ate it, they knew the difference between right and wrong. How do we know that? Because they knew what wasn't right for them to do. Right? God will give you rules if you have no understanding of right or wrong. What's the use?
Right.
So their intellectual perception is what made them in the image of God, rather than any physical thing. Okay.
Would you even take them as far as for the other aspect of letters? Would you even introduce them to the Proverbs 8? Like verse 22, with wisdom or?
Well, see, the thing is, you can, if you want to. If you want to be poetic about it, yeah, you can introduce it to that. Because you know what? In all actuality, God is divine wisdom. That's a very poetic way of saying it. When we look at it, let us.
Yeah.
And then at the end,
But we have to, do it all in conversation, and then it's supposed to be late. And she said, oh, no, this is not serious drink. So I was trying to explain to her that we're not supposed to eat things that are seeds, we're supposed to eat things. You see, that I just recently learned that myself. So as we said, well, the seed here, take you back to what I was trying to explain to her about the seed.
So the thing is about the seedless, seedless grape, in all actuality, we call them seedless grapes. Because if you bust them open, you'll see a soft seed in the center of them. Just like a tomato has a seed in it, but it's a soft seed. A banana has a seed in it, but it's a soft seed. So, yeah, you have watermelons with soft seeds, and you have watermelon, right? So sometimes you can eat a watermelon and it's those little white soft seeds.
So which one would you eat? The one with the soft seed or the one with the black seed?
Well, they all have seeds in it.
Oh.
So even the seedless grapes that you might see, they're called seedless grapes. But when you crack them open, you're going to see something in the middle of it that resembles the seed, and it's soft.
You got oranges. You got oranges.
Yeah, they have oranges that are seedless. Like those manufactured things like that, we stay away from.
Well, you know, we're from the islands. I've never seen fruit that we have seen.
That's the one.
Right.
Never. Like, I've known big in the house.
Well, see, when you're dealing with vineyards, you have different types of grapes. A banana has a soft seed. Right. You know, a banana has a soft seed. Yeah, they're little black soft seeds. And we don't pay them no attention.